Closed captioning for Education Matters is sponsored by Margaret's Garden Adult Daycare and Will Lou Gray Opportunity School out of West Columbia. Good morning. The registration process for Richmond County's pre-kindergarten lottery system is on its way. Education Matters is next. Good morning and welcome inside another segment of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Wesby, your host of Education Matters, where learning is living. Don't you just love Charles Stanley? I hope you have gotten a chance to watch his inspirational broadcast every Sunday morning, and then that you keep it locked right here on WRDW Channel 12 for Education Matters every Sunday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. It's going to be a very informative broadcast today as we enlighten you on Richmond County School System's pre-kindergarten lottery and registration process. But I want you to also watch our commercial breaks. Every second of Education Matters is loaded with information. So don't you go anywhere, sit back, relax, grab your paper and your pencil because you will learn something new today. Of course, we thank the sponsors of Education Matters, our corporate sponsors, Howell Printing out of Aiken, South Carolina, your full service printer, and offering graphic design services. Security Federal Bank, there's certainly a Security Federal in our broadcast coverage area where you are. Will Lou Gray Opportunity School, servicing children ages high school on down to middle school. And in the state of South Carolina, and they are a state agency. You'll get those details later on in today's broadcast. Wesby's Products and Services, creator of Dawn Seasoning Delight, all-purpose seasoning and marinade, my husband. Also, Margaret's Garden Adult Daycare. And you've been hearing now that their opening is imminent. Well, we've got good news. They are open. Margaret's Garden is open, and they want you to know you're invited to their ribbon cutting ceremony at Margaret's Garden Daycare. This will take place on March the 3rd. I believe that's a Tuesday, March the 3rd at 4 p.m. Refreshments will be served, and the address for Margaret's Garden is 119 Beatty Lane, Beatty, and that is on Whiskey Road, also off Whiskey Road in Aiken, South Carolina. So congrats to Margaret's Garden. They're open for business and ready to serve you. Continuing on with our sponsors, the University of South Carolina in Aiken, and finally, Access Chiropractic, where the chiropractor is Dr. Blair Bradley. Thanks so much to all of our corporate sponsors, and also special thanks to those individuals I call friends of Education Matters. You know who you are. We appreciate your continuous support. If you're interested in becoming a part of our sponsorship family, you will get those details as well in today's segment. All right, moving on to this week's chalkboard reminder. All right, I'm sure some of you have already taken care of this, but here is your reminder in case you haven't. Of course, with the cold winter weather upon us, ensure that your vehicle radiator has the appropriate amount of antifreeze as to avoid bursting of internal fixtures, okay? I know some of you might be single parents or like my son sometimes, college student who just drives and thinks that nothing's going to happen to that vehicle. This might be very helpful to you. Okay, that is your chalkboard reminder for this week, and special shouts out to my husband who helped me to get those details right. Okay, moving right along, that sound means it's Word of the Week time inside of Education Matters. Every week we do provide you with a brand new Word of the Week for our children to prepare for their standardized exams, but also for us adults to continue to learn and grow. As long as we're living, we should be excited about learning. That's my personal belief. So here's this week's Word of the Week. You've probably heard it before. Belabor, okay? But actually, belabor, all right? It's a short I sound. Belabor. Belabor is a verb, and it means to insist repeatedly or harp on for an absurd amount of time. Yeah, you know, anybody just goes on and on and on. Well, next time they do, you just say, you know what? You're belaboring the point. Here is this week's sentence. I understand completely. You do not need to belabor the point for 10 more minutes. Okay? Belabor is your word of the week this week. Now for a continuous list of our words of the week, as well as other very important articles and links to educational websites, there you go, edmat.com. Check it out every week. We're always updating it. And you may also write me. My email address, there it is, Donna Wesby at AOL.com. Now, you can also connect with me and write me through that website. We do have a Contact Us page on the website, so you can certainly reach me, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Let us know if the broadcasts are helping you. Feel free to also share story ideas, okay? Moving on to another segment of the broadcast we have all come to learn and love, I should say, and that's our grammar lesson of the week. And here it is. Use of commas in a series, okay? Now here's the rule. If there are 3 or more items in a series, then you use a comma after each item except the last one, okay? Here are some examples. We saw ducks, comma, geese, comma, and seagulls at the zoo. You see your commas after each one. Sometimes people will forget that comma before the and. You are supposed to put a comma there, but not after seagulls, okay? Here's another example. Jack ate dinner, watched a movie, and went for a walk. You see the comma after dinner, movie, but not after went, all right, but certainly before the and. So there's your rule. If there are 3 or more items in a series, use the comma after each item except the last one, all right? That is your grammar lesson of the week. Now, I do have a community announcement to share, and we'll put this up on the screen for you. Friendship Baptist Church, 515 Richland Avenue in Aiken, South Carolina, invites you to the 10th anniversary celebration of their pastor, Reverend Clinton T.C. Edwards, on Sunday, March 15th at 2:30 p.m. The Reverend Clarence Moore and the Good Shepherd Baptist Church of Augusta will be the guests, and the public is invited. And some of you know, I happen to worship there at Friendship Baptist Church. Now, they also want you to know that a banquet honoring Reverend Edwards will be held on Saturday, March 14th, 5 to 8 p.m. at the St. John's United Methodist Church in Aiken. You see the address there. The cost to attend is $25 per person, and the attire is black and white, semi-formal. For more information on both of those events, call 803-648-9290. That is your community happening. Now, if you would like to get your community announcements inside of Education Matters, they're on a first-come, first-served basis, and there could be a cost. And we will discuss that with each client. Just write me, Donna Wesby, at AOL.com. I think that does it. I hope that does it. Oh, yes, I talked about Margaret's Garden. That's going to do it for now. So coming up, you're going to meet Dr. Jackie Hayes. He is the director of pre-K for Richmond County, and he's going to share the details of the upcoming lottery and registration.
Minds can achieve anything. We make sure they get to college. Federal student aid provides more than $150 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds to make college possible for anyone with the mind to get there. Because if given the chance, minds will do great things. Federal Student Aid, proud sponsor of the American Mind. Learn more about money for college at studentaid.gov.
I think the most surprising thing I learned, I gotta look at the camera.
The most surprising thing about college life was that you have to be able to balance a lot of aspects of life, such as academic and social life.
The most surprising thing was that
It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be.
people aren't partying all the time.
The teachers and the programs that they have on campus, it helped me a lot.
It's mostly a balance of work hard, play hard.
Kind of like balancing like hanging out and going to class.
I think the most surprising thing about college
was the freedom.
all the different backgrounds of people that you get to meet when you're there.
That was a big contrast from high school.
I didn't realize that there's no such thing as a curfew when you go there.
Coming from a smaller Virginia town, you don't meet a lot of very different people.
So it was just like late nights in the dorm,
The teachers don't really put too much pressure on you.
and then you gotta wake up at 7. Bad experiences.
You really became independent once you came to school, and you could make any choice you wanted to.
They tell you to do an assignment, you do it or you don't.
What clubs to join, what classes you wanted to take.
Getting to meet people with all sorts of backgrounds and beliefs, and getting to know them and get along with them.
That was definitely the most surprising thing to me.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters, contact Donna Moore Wesby at 803-507-6793 or email at donnawesby@aol.com.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Wesby, your host of Education Matters, where learning is living. Don't you just love life? I love life, and I enjoy living it to the fullest. Today inside of the broadcast, we're going to share some information that I hope will be very informative to you, particularly if you live in the state of Georgia. Maybe you're a grandparent who happens to live in South Carolina and your children live in Richmond County. It's going to be good for you too, because you will need to make sure your children know what's coming up, what's happening in their school system. Today, joining us inside of Education Matters for the very first time is Dr. Jackie Hayes. Looking mighty dapper there, Dr. Hayes. Bow tie, I like it.
Thank you. Good morning.
Oh, well, we're so happy to have you on this beautiful Sunday morning. We thank you for giving us time out of your busy schedule to educate our parents, our grandparents, our aunties and uncles, moms and dads about pre-kindergarten. You've got some great things coming up in Richmond County. You're excited?
Yes, we do. We are very, very excited about this new process that we're getting ready to implement when it comes to the registration process.
Okay, so it's a new process to Richmond County.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Well, we're going to share with you details about that, but I want to kind of lay a little bit of foundation. Dr. Hayes is the director of pre-K, pre-kindergarten in Richmond County. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Coordinator, we've got it, I think, on the screen in that way. In any case, he's the man for pre-K. And today you're going to also share with us the value of pre-K. Now, when we talk about pre-K or pre-kindergarten, what does that really entail?
Well, what it does is the purpose of pre-K is to prepare children for kindergarten.
Okay.
Back in 1993-94, under the governorship of Zell Miller, this was introduced to the state for the purpose of the at-risk students.
Okay.
And at that time, I think about 750 students were in the program.
Okay.
And then in 94, 95, it was opened up to the public so that any kid could apply.
And of course, you're talking specifically Georgia.
Yes, I'm speaking in reference to Georgia. And I guess it's about 20 plus years later. Now, I think when we had our 20th anniversary, we had over 83,000 students that are part of the Georgia pre-K program, the Lottery pre-K program, and it is growing like crazy. Yes, it is.
Yes, and that's so good to hear that it is growing because, as you said, to help prepare our young people for kindergarten is something that I think we must do as this country to even start preparing them for the global society at that age, at that young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is crucially important, and we're just amazed at what they can learn at such an early age.
They're little sponges. They take in everything, don't they?
Exactly.
Well, what is the difference between pre-K, all right, and daycare?
Well, one of the things there are several.
Okay.
One, in pre-K, in the school system, regular public setting, we have certified teachers. About 99% of our teachers are certified early childhood education, in early childhood education.
That's big.
The children also have the opportunity to be a part of a school setting, so it makes their transition very, very easy once they go into kindergarten. They get to ride the bus as their older siblings. They get to go to the cafeteria and eat in the cafeteria with the other children, with the big children, if you will. And they also just have an overall experience when it comes. We have a curriculum that we teach them. We use the high scope curriculum with them. And they're in school 6.5 hours a day.
Wow.
Just as the other students are a part of the regular school day.
Quite a bit of benefits.
Oh, yes.
Lots of benefits.
Yes.
And I know that for those parents who are interested in education and value their child's education, they would want to seek out a pre-K program that can, be of benefit to their child and give them that kick start.
Yes, yes. And another advantage is if they have older siblings, they get to go to school, and you want to go to school with your big sister or big brother. And so that's another thing for the children. And
now, the big sister or the big brother might not want them there, but it certainly does help build their confidence and getting them exposed to that school setting. So that's very important.
Yes, of course.
That's good. And now, certainly, although you were given the statistics earlier about the students that are in Georgia, there are pre-K programs all across the United States.
That is correct.
Yeah.
As I was going through some research, I did see where in the state of Washington, where they were looking at the students. There was a study done, and they were looking at the students that attended pre-K versus the kids that did not. And I think they scored like 6 or 7% higher in reading, and I think it was about equally the same as far as their math scores by the time they reached the 5th grade.
Excellent.
So that's one of the advantages of the children actually going to kindergarten. There's been some studies done here in Georgia, and we're under the Right From the Start Georgia Early Learning Department at the State Department, and they've done some, and they also have noted that there's a significant difference between those children that actually attend pre-K versus those that don't. Okay,
that's really good. I know from a legislative standpoint, there are still, at this day and time, although we know other countries are paramount in education and place a very high value on education, there are still some legislators who aren't quite convinced that we need to invest in early childhood education initiatives. And what can we do as a country to level that out? Because it really doesn't make sense. If we say on one hand that education is important and that's what it takes to become successful and it's the key to opportunities, then why is it even a question as to whether or not we will invest in these types of programs and initiatives to help our children?
Well, I think one thing that they have to know, that a building without a solid foundation will fall.
Yes, it will.
But what we as citizens have to do, and we as educators and all of us that is a part of the greater community have to do, and that are pro-education, then we have to talk to our legislators. That is where the difference is made. And of course, we have to talk to them locally and at the state level. And if
Yes.
so, we may even need to go nationally.
Right.
And so in order to make this thing, to become one of the countries with this rank, instead of the bottom, we could be ranked at the top. In order to make that happen, then of course we have to make sure that our legislatures sell it, and we have to open up the opportunity for more children. And I think that's one of the
Yes.
biggest things for
Yes.
us. We are limited in the number of classes that we have, even in Richmond County. And so many of our principals are asking for additional classes, and so that's something that we would like to offer to them. But the only way we're going to be able to do it is by way of talking and speaking to our legislatures and writing our legislatures as well.
Excellent, excellent, very good. Now, another point that I want to make sure our parents and our grandparents know. Now, with pre-K being a component of the public school system, is another difference in pre-K and daycare is that there is no, I guess, fee as such as there would be for daycare. How does that work?
Well, it's all Georgia lottery. If it's a Georgia lottery funded program at the daycare center, it is free to them as well.
Okay.
And so it's just like I was giving you some of the advantages before.
Right.
And most parents would want this, if they have additional other children there, they want them to be a part of it. And then, of course, I was telling you about the certification of the teachers and that type of thing.
Okay, wonderful. We have a few slides that we're going to also share with you today, but one of the first ones, which we already kind of touched on with Dr. Hayes, is pre-kindergarten is not a daycare or babysitting service, because there's some expectation of parents, right?
That's correct. We have a curriculum. And we expect for the parents to bring the children to school on time. We expect for them to be there on a daily basis. And so we have an attendance protocol for pre-K just as we do K-12.
Okay.
And so the expectation is that the parents will be as actively involved in field trips, and they also have the opportunity to come in and be a part of the class.
Good. I know anytime I've had an opportunity to work with young children like that, I mean, in addition to them being sponges, they desperately want to please, and they enjoy having fun. And what I like about pre-K is it weaves in fun with educational experiences. So the children are learning. They don't even necessarily realize they're learning because they're also having fun. And what's kind of a, I don't know, an oxymoron is that as the children get older, in school, we take away some of that fun.
Yeah, a lot of the learning is done socially. And whereas the curriculum, it has the dramatic play, they have the music and the art and the reading and mathematics and cooking and the science. All of that is a part of the curriculum, and many times you will see them just playing together, but they actually are learning, and the teacher do a little bit of structure learning. Curriculum is very, very important, and what we use are the GEL standards, and so those are the Georgia Early Learning developmental standards. And so they are aligned to the Georgia Common Core, those CCGPS standards that we talk about, and so they are aligned to those standards so that when they go from pre-kindergarten right on into kindergarten, the standards that we use, they're based on the same standards, so they just keep it moving at that point.
Just keep it moving, and as you said, it's a great transition into kindergarten.
And one of the things that we're doing with our group too, I don't know that the daycares are or not, is the fact that I have made it a requirement that they read to the children, because one of the best ways to prepare the children for school is simply to read to them. And so we have them reading at least 15 books per week to our children, and that's the standard. And so what we want to do is want our teachers to exceed the standard, so many of them they are going far and beyond the call of duty when it comes to the reading part.
And I would imagine that we have to still be very careful that we are not putting so much pressure on these 4 and 5-year-olds to be the best and be the brightest and to, you know, excel, that we take away the fact that they are little children, and there is that natural part of children where they want to play and they want to take their naps and all of that kind of good stuff. So we've got to have a balance there too.
That's true, because music is a big part of it, the motion and the movement, and so they love that part of it. So if you would go to any pre-K classroom in our system, you'll see a lot of music being played, and they are constantly moving with the music, and a lot of the rhyming through songs. That is a lot of the way in which they learn.
Right.
And so that's a big part. We want parents to also know that they should be reading to their children at home as well.
Please, parents, read to your kids.
Yes. And just add to what we're doing, because what we want to do is we want to just start this group where we are. This is our first year of implementing this reading program. As partners, we are partnering right now with Augusta Library, but this is something that we will be implementing from this point on. Now that we know that reading is one of the best ways to prepare your children for school.
That's exactly right. And some of you have heard it before. You know that prisons are being built based on the children in 3rd grade, whether they can read or not, because that is certainly an indicator as to whether or not those children will go on to excel in their education, graduate from high school, go on to college. If they cannot read, they will be in survival mode. And that survival mode oftentimes places them in predicaments where they are doing things illegal because they're just trying to eat and trying to pay bills.
That's correct.
Yes, we certainly need to look at this investment as exactly that, as an investment. Now, unfortunately, as you said, we don't have across the country enough pre-K slots for the number of children who are in those age ranges. So let's go ahead and talk about who qualifies for pre-K in Georgia. And we do have a slide on this. The child has to be 4 years old on or before, what's that date?
September 1, 2015.
Okay, all right. Now, how did that date did somebody just pick that date out of the sky?
I don't think it was a date that was just tossed out of the sky. Of course, as we spoke earlier, all these things have to go through a legislative process.
Okay.
And this was one that I guess years ago, prior to my knowledge of it, that was the cutoff, and it's based from state to state. Some states will let you go October, some September, and as you know, we're even looking at maybe earlier.
Okay, all right. And I also see here, of course, we're talking today specifically about Richmond County in Georgia, and yes, we have Georgia on this broadcast. This is not just a show for South Carolina. Proof of age and residency must be presented to register and on file the day the child begins the pre-K program. So let's talk now, what do you mean by proof of age? What can be used in that instance?
Okay, there are several things that can be used, but one of the main things that we use is the birth certificate, a certified or original birth certificate, a copy of it. Okay, so we have to have that. Or they can use a passport if they have one. Okay. Or they can use a green card, a pink card, or I-94 form if they have those.
Okay. Now, I'm not familiar with a pink card. I'm familiar with a green card, but not a pink card.
Okay. The pink card is one that is used for like Singapore. They come over and work. Like they use it for citizenship.
Okay.
From Singapore or something like that. So if they come over, then they'll have that type card.
Okay.
That would be the pink.
Okay.
And then the I-90.
Go ahead.
The I-94 is like people who are coming across the border to work, and their children may be coming with them. And so that's what they're used for.
Okay.
That would be the piece of identification for that.
Okay. Now, so we're talking about the acceptable documentation for proof of age. Now, there are also some documentation that they have to show for proof of residency. You can't just say, oh yeah, we live in Georgia, in Richmond County. Just take my word for it. I want you to hold it right there. We're going to come back in just a minute after we hear from our sponsors and talk to you more about the lottery process for Richmond County's pre-K program. You're inside of Education Matters. We'll be right back.
I lead a busy life, but I still have to make sure my family eats right. And everybody loves Dawn's Seasoning Delight. I use Dawn's on meats and vegetables. It's healthy, tastes great, and it's simple to use. It's like having a chef in a bottle.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bilo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn's Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
The Will Gray Opportunity School has been serving the beautiful Midlands of South Carolina since 1921. Our mission has evolved over the years, and we now specialize in helping young people move past their obstacles in order to achieve success. We give students opportunities to lead, to develop social skills, to become active in their communities, and to taste success. Don't settle for less than the absolute best for your life. Contact us today to take the next step in your journey toward success. Margaret's Garden Adult Daycare is coming soon to serve the community of Aiken. We are dedicated to enhancing the emotional, mental, and physical well-being of our clients, allowing seniors to remain in the community as long as possible. A daily fitness plan, games, weekly outings, fine dining, and discussion groups are just a few of the services we offer to keep your loved one active and engaged. Margaret's Garden. We meet you where you are.
Why go to college anywhere else? For the past 4 years, U.S. News & World Report has named University of South Carolina Aiken the #1 top public comprehensive college in the South. You can attend one of the best universities in the nation with more than 49 majors in academic programs, nationally ranked athletics, and great student life. With small classes, the faculty and staff are focused on your success. USC Aiken, the university focused on you.
Have you made the switch? Make the switch to the original one-of-a-kind WNRR Gospel 1380 AM, your new favorite station for the latest in chart-topping gospel music, news, and entertainment. So why don't you make the switch today to WNRR Gospel 1380 AM? Also, listen live on WNRRGospel.com or download our free iPhone or Android app and search at WNRR Gospel. WNRR Gospel 1380 AM, your new favorite station.
Weekends are for resting, relaxing, and recharging your batteries. A good weekend can also give you the time to catch up on business you couldn't get to during the week. For Security Federal Bank customers, that means banking business. What does 7-day banking mean to your banker? More importantly, what does it mean to you? At Security Federal Bank, being open 7 days a week means just that. That's why our Southside branch on Whiskey Road in front of Target is open for business every day, even Saturday and Sunday. We're proud to be the only bank to be open 7 days a week in Aiken County. If we were you, we'd bank with us.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters, contact Donna Moore Wesby at 803-507-6793 or email at donnawesby@aol.com.
Welcome back inside of the broadcast. If you're just joining us today, we're talking about Richmond County School System's pre-kindergarten lottery and registration process. It is coming up. You only have a couple of days, actually. Pre-registration, online registration just ended or ends today, March the 1st. But there's still time to register. And joining us to give us those details today is the director of Richmond County's pre-kindergarten, pre-K, period. And his name is Dr. Jackie Hayes. Welcome back inside of the broadcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on today. Now, we already know that a child has to be 4 years old on or before September 1st.
Yes.
It has to be a resident of Richmond County
yes.
in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you have to show the proof of age, and we're now going to move to acceptable documentation for proof of residency. Cover that for us.
Okay, in order to register for pre-K in Richmond County, a child can have proof of age, as you stated, and proof of residence. And when we talk about proof of residency, it has to be acceptable. Both of them have, that's the key word.
Not just a picture in front of a house.
Right. And so,
Richmond County.
as far as proof of residency documentation, you can have a current lease, you can have a property tax notice, a homeowner's insurance bill, you can use any type of utility, water, light, gas, and you also can use, there's one I'm missing.
Letter from a shelter?
Oh, yes. If you live in a shelter, then you get a letter from the shelter, or if there's an employer where you work, if they provide housing, then you have to get a letter from them as well.
Okay.
Now, if you live with the state of the economy now, we know that. And so if you live with someone, if you had to move back in with a relative, then what you have to do in that case, then you have to get an affidavit notarized and signed stating that you live with that particular relative or person, whoever. Then you have to follow the same proof of residency documentation in that person's name at the address in which you're saying that the child lives.
Okay, and the reason for all of this is, as you stated while we were hearing from our sponsors, that pre-K in Richmond County is not available at all of the schools.
Right. Pre-K is available at all of our elementary schools with the exception of C.T. Walker. Next year, we will not be having it at National Hills because we've downsized, right-sized, if you will, and they are merging that particular one with Garrett. So those two schools, so we won't have it there. And please know that in the program, we don't, in pre-K, there's really no zoning, if you will, but when we do our lottery, it is based on where you live. So you can go to any school and you can register for any school, but one needs to know that when you register, you need to be cognizant of the fact that when we lottery pull, we pull from those kids that are living in the zone first.
Okay.
And then once we fill the slots, if there's anything left, then we go to the outer zone.
Okay, all right.
File to pull.
So I mentioned briefly about pre-registration, and that online registration is about to close. Today is March the 1st, so are they able to, this broadcast will end at 9 o'clock in the morning. Are they able to still register today? Pre-register.
It goes through midnight.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
March 1st, today, midnight. And that is one of the things that we are just most excited about is this online pre-registration. This is the first time this is the first time that we've tried this particular venture. And because we're in the 21st century, if you will, in this technological society, then of course we're excited about that piece. And we encouraged as many people to go online and register as possible. It's going to make it easier when we get to the registration window because we'll have lines set up, and those that have registered online earlier, then their process is going to be much simpler and quicker.
Okay, all right. And for those who miss the pre-registration process, of course, there's regular registration, and you're going to have 2 locations for those and several dates. Yes,
one of the things that we are excited about this time, and this is through the wisdom and the vision of our current superintendent, Dr. Pringle, so we're proud to have her on board.
Okay.
We're centralizing it, if you will. We're centralizing the pre-K registration process. And in doing this, it is allowing the parents the opportunity, rather than having the one day that we've had for the past 20 years, it is giving the parents the opportunity to come in and register their children, more parents, because when we use that one day, then if you did not if you didn't have time, if you were at work or whatever, then we only registered that one day. But with this open window, it's going to help us to be able to see how many students actually come in to register our data. We'll be able to look at that piece. And then, of course, it's just going to open that window wider for them, so everybody will have the opportunity to come in and register who wishes to do so.
Okay.
And we are doing this We have several forms of communication to put it out there, with this being one,
Yes.
coming on this particular TV show.
Good.
And then, of course, we've used in the newspaper. So if you've looked in the newspaper, it's been there. We've done it at the schools. We've put it in the public library. We've done it too. We put it in the recreation department, in the health department. So
no excuse to
right,
say, I
and
did
then
not
a
know
press
about
release was
it.
done as well. So we have put the information out there.
All right, and here, I told you earlier to get your paper and pencil. Here it is for you on the screen. Registration for Georgia, specifically Richmond County's pre-K program, will take place at Richmond County Board of Education and also Tobacco Road Elementary. You see the addresses on the screen, and the dates for registration, March 2nd through 13th, Monday through Friday from 1 to 6 p.m., and then on March the 7th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., at the central office only. Central office only. Now, give us a little bit about, I think you kind of covered it somewhat, the lottery drawing itself. How will that process work?
Okay, that will take place on March the 14th. And that will also begin at 9 o'clock. And what we're going to do at the time when everyone registers, we will give them a schedule, a lottery schedule, so that the schools will come at different times for registration. For example, if you have a child that's going to Warren Road School, then of course there will be a specific time that we'll give you that we'll be doing that drawing.
Okay.
And then there'll be someone there keying in the names as we draw them, so that we are going to be posting them on our website real time.
Okay,
and so
good.
whether you're there or not, you'll be able to look onto the website and you'll see whether or not your child got in instantly. We're trying to make sure that this is something that's instant as we do the drawings.
Okay, all right. Now, of course, everyone is not technologically savvy or has a computer. Will they be able to call and find out?
There will be a mail out, and we're going to make sure that the teachers, once the classes are selected, that the teachers give the parents a call, welcoming their kids into their classrooms and looking forward to having them in the 2015-16 school year. And that's going to be key in terms of doing that. And the other thing is, the parents will have until March the 30th, the end of March, to accept the position.
Okay.
And so they can accept or not.
Okay.
And at that time, if they accept, then we'll look forward to seeing them in August. If they don't, then of course we'll call the next child on the waiting list.
All right, that's what I was about to ask, is for those, because as you say, someone may move out of Richmond County,
Yes.
or for whatever reason decide they don't want that placement if their name is drawn. How many additional names do you draw for the waiting list? Is there a set number?
There is not a set number. The way we draw, there is 22 students per classroom.
Okay. And you have how many classes?
With the exception of those that are Head Start blended. We have 10 classes that are Head Start blended.
Okay.
Totally together with the Head Start blended and the regular pre-K classrooms, we have 53 classrooms.
Okay.
And we're located in 33 of our elementary schools.
Okay, wow, fantastic.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of children that you can place. Do you roughly know how many children will not be accepted in the program based on those who could qualify? I don't know if you have those kinds of projections.
I don't, because we've opened the window.
Okay.
And we don't know how many is going to come this time. We do know that based on the classes that we have, we will be accepting 1,124 students. We do know that.
Okay.
But we do not know how many kids will actually be placed on the waiting list.
All right.
Because after we pull the original 22 and or 20 based on if the classes are pre-K blended or, Head Start blended or regular pre-K classes, then once we pull those 22, then we'll pull, once we get those 22, then we'll just continue to pull, building the waiting list of the in-zone students first, and then the ones from the outer zone will be attached to that.
Now, does your office have any connection with those parents whose children aren't accepted, aren't picked through the lottery system to give them other options or other avenues to, you know, to just keep them encouraged or to keep them excited about education?
Well, one of the things, as you stated earlier, that we are a very transient community because we have military people. We have the military base here, Fort Gordon, and many times the orders are changed.
Right.
And then we have people who are business and they get jobs, and so the jobs will transfer them, and so they'll leave for those purposes. And so positions become available that way, and so we encourage those parents to stay. When we send out the letters, we let them know that, okay, it is based on availability, and we will call those in the order in which they are placed on the waiting list.
Okay.
And so that's what we usually do. In terms of if someone was to, for example, if a daycare center or something of that a facility that had slots or whatever available, then sometimes they will then solicit us and ask us if there's kids on the list.
Okay. Now, does Georgia, I generally don't know the answer to this, does Georgia have a Head Start program?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and Head Start is different from pre-K?
Yes.
Okay.
The funding source is
okay. Yes.
it is very different, and then of course they do this too. I think it's based on economics.
Okay, that is very true.
So you have to go through. You have to be of a certain income in order to be a part of the Head Start program.
Right.
However, the students that are the schools that we blend, it's not really based on the Head Start economics. It's just us working together as two different entities to get the best of both worlds, because those kids really do get the best of both worlds by them being in those blended classrooms. They may, in those particular classes, they do have to fill out some additional paperwork for Head Start because they have their requirements and we have ours. Many of it's much of the same, but there are some few things that are different that they have to do.
Okay, all right. I'm going to put this particular slide up on the screen for you. Again, the lottery drawing for Georgia's pre-kindergarten is March the 14th, and this will be taken at the central office. Now, can the public actually physically be there while the drawing is taking place?
Yes.
Okay.
That is very much encouraged. We want parents, teachers, and any concerned community member can come out and watch it because we're trying to make this thing well, not trying, but it is a transparent process. It's a very, very transparent process. And so we won't have anyone saying that, okay, this is not, my child didn't get in because.
Funny business was going on.
Yeah, right.
Or two-finger drag,
right.
husband calls it.
So anyone can come watch on that particular day. They're welcome to.
Okay, now you may have covered this, and please forgive me if I missed this, but the actual drawing of the names, is this computerized and it's just done randomly through the computer, or are there slips of paper with names? That might be archaic, but...
No, I didn't address it. We have lottery tickets.
Okay.
And so with, it's a lottery ticket, it's perforated, so what is on it, we have numbers. It'll be by numbers. And so once the parent register the child, then it's perforated, so we'll tear it apart. On one part is a number, and then the other part's a number. So we'll give the parent their number, and then the actual ticket itself, then of course we will attach that, and that's what we pull from.
Okay.
So the parent will have their number, and then we'll have the number, so when we put it online, it will be by the child's number.
Okay, so almost like raffle tickets.
Yeah.
We're just not giving away a fish dinner.
Yes, and on the ticket, of course, will be the student's name, address, and the parent's name.
Okay.
Along with that number. So that's how we're going to do it. But it will actually be a drawing.
Okay, very good. And again, this drawing will take place on March the 14th at the central office. You're welcome to attend. And parents will be notified by March the 16th. Of course, as Dr. Hayes said, they're trying their best to notify those who've been selected instantly. So they'll be placing those names online.
The
And
number,
that address,
not the names, it'll be the number.
The number.
The lottery
Very
number.
good, the number. And so that's going to be very important. And then the actual classes, pre-K classes, will begin in August 2015, along with their regular Richmond County School System calendar schedule?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now, for additional information, here's the number for you. On the screen, you can call Dr. Hayes' office, 706. You gave me the number.
Okay, that's fine.
706-826-1266. Again, 706-826-1266. And again, all of these details are available to you. Make sure you go and get that proof of residency information, the proof of age documentation. Yes. You've got a couple of weeks before registration. The registration actually starts, so go ahead and get that stuff, get it ready now. We're talking about your child's education, and don't just sit back and wait. Whether you are in Georgia or South Carolina, your child's education is paramount, and as a parent or grandparent, if you're watching today, raising those children, it's up to you, it's up to us to do the very best we can to help your child be equipped with tools they need to succeed in life and be all that they can be. And that tremendous foundation, that the very best key, well, of course, God, but is their education, all right? We have just a few more moments. Any last words to share with our parents, with our grandparents, anyone about pre-K and the value of pre-K?
Yeah. One is in terms of the registration process, make sure that you hold on to your number, your lottery number. Once we tear it off, make sure that you hold on to it. And when you come, make sure that you have one of these pieces of acceptable documentation. Therefore, your process will be expedited, because if you don't, then of course we don't have no choice but to send you back and get the right documentation. This becomes a part of your child's record.
Very good.
So we have to make sure that that's there. And then make sure that you go head on, because we will be requiring you to provide immunizations for them. And that is the Form 3300. That's the eye, ear, dental, and nutrition screening form or certificate. And then the certificate of immunization, which is your 3231 form. So we're going to need those forms. They have to be a part of the children's files.
Very good. Well, Dr. Hayes with Richmond County School System, thank you for representing Richmond County. I'm so glad to finally get someone from Richmond County on the broadcast. Special shouts out to Mr. Israel Butler, who helped to make that happen. And very soon, you'll see the superintendent of Richmond County School System here on this broadcast, Dr. Angela Pringle. We hope the information helps you out today, and we thank you so much for watching. We've got one more segment to discuss today, Are You Ready to Be Grown Conference. You're inside of Education Matters, where learning is living.
Every child is curious. George, look what I found. Turn their curiosity into a lifelong love of learning. That's a periscope. It's one of the most important gifts you can share. Create a curious reader. Oh, you want to build a castle like that one? This is super bedtime reading. Share a book together today. Visit read.gov.
As a parent, it's only natural to want to do all you can to protect your child. And when it's time to hand over the car keys, you may wonder how you can help your teen steer clear of danger. The truth is, when it comes to keeping teen drivers safe, parents are the key.
Yes, that's right. Parents, you are the key. Young people, if you're watching today, listen to those parents. They mean you well. They don't mean you any harm, and they're your parents for a reason. I hope the information we shared today was helpful for those of you in Richmond County, talking about pre-K, pre-kindergarten. Get those little babies ready for the rest of their lives. I wanted to spend a moment now talking about the Education Matters Are You Ready to Be Grown conference. Yes, we briefly talked about it on last week's segment, or maybe the past couple of weeks. Of course, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary on last week with my director, Lauren Jones, as my guest, and we had a good time. Hopefully you enjoy that broadcast. But right now we're going to talk about, are you ready to be grown? Of course, young people, you think you're ready, and that's good that you want your independence, but there's so much you don't know about being an adult, the world of adulthood. And at the Education Matters second annual Are You Ready to Be Grown conference, this will take place on Saturday, August the 1st, beginning at 8 a.m. and it will end at 3:30 p.m. at the University of South Carolina in Aiken. And at this conference, young people, you're going to learn about the value of education. And while you think you're ready to be grown and you want to be grown, and trust me, your parents want you to one day be grown and gone, we want to make sure you are equipped and prepared, okay? So that's what's going to take place. Also, parents, for you, we did not leave you out. We want you to come. We've got sessions for you the entire day as well, information to give you resources on how to be a very effective parent or grandparent, whatever the case may be. We'll also allow you to take part in the very last segment along with the middle school and high school students, and that will consist of a panel of individuals who are sharing their testimonies of maybe not so good choices they made in life, in hopes of helping our young people not go down a path that maybe caused some great trepidation for them, okay? So we hope you come to the Are You Ready to Be Grown conference. Last year, we had over 208 to register from 4 different states. This conference is for middle and high school students and parents. It doesn't matter whether you are in South Carolina, okay? This is for anyone who can get there and who's able to come with an expectation of greatness. Now, for information on the registration, which is only $10, it covers your breakfast, lunch, and conference materials, thanks in large part to some of the awesome sponsors we have in this area. We hope you come, bring your church groups out, your youth groups out, your parent groups. Go to my website, and I've referred to this website earlier in the broadcast, www.edmatt.com. Thank you, Lauren. MATT.com. The registration form is there. The flyer is there. You can print out those details, get it to the parents and to the youth group coordinators. Do not wait to the last minute. Registration deadline is in July, and last year we did have to turn people away. Now, I do know some of you take your vacations this time. That's why we're giving you the information early so that you can start now. Are you ready to be grown? It's all a part of everything we discuss here inside of Education Matters. Learning is living. Thanks so much for watching. Until next week, my name is Donna Moore Wesby, your host of Education Matters, where learning is living. Have a great day.